George, you're in the spotlight here. Let's talk about this, though. The CEO, what about this case and the implications of it?
Well, in addition to being evidence, redundant evidence, that progressives are for diversity in everything but thought, it's an illustration of a new phenomenon. No one likes sore losers, but now we have sore winners. The gay rights movement is winning, particularly with regard to same-sex marriage, with a speed and breadth that simply takes your breath away in Oklahoma, in Utah, and elsewhere. Yet, unsatisfied with victory, they seem to want to stamp out and punish people for their previous views. This is relevant to an issue that's live in this town, that is campaign finance reform. The people who want to reform our finances and increase government control over political speech and spending say, well, everyone surely can be in favor of full disclosure of campaign contributions. This case is an example of why some of us who used to be for full disclosure no longer are. The people advocating full disclosure of campaign contributions say we just want voters to be able to make an informed choice. That's not what they're doing at all. They really want to enable themselves to mount punitive campaigns and to deter people and to chill political speech.
It's important to point out that this president, President Obama, was an opponent of gay marriage in his presidency. Take a listen to this. We asked the White House about it today.
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, and I'm not in favor of gay marriage. But when you start playing around with constitutions just to prohibit somebody who cares about another person, it just seems to me that that's not what America's about.
Does the White House think that there should at least be tolerance on the issue, even though the president has evolved on this issue and now supports same-sex marriage, that there should be tolerance on the issue and that there should be other views heard?
Well, I certainly understand why an issue like this has been in the news and why a lot of people are talking about it, but I'm not going to be in a position to weigh in on the decisions made by a private company like this.
One of the sound bites you had earlier had someone saying this is a kind of intolerance entering into the culture. I think it's narrower than that. This is the culture of the left not being satisfied with making an argument or even prevailing in an argument, but in destroying personally and marginalizing people who oppose them. In the same way that proponents of climate change declare the issue closed, it's over, there's no debate, it is settled science. And therefore, anybody who is skeptical of that is considered anti-science and is called a denier, a conscious way to echo that there's some kind of moral or intellectual equivalent of a denier of the Holocaust. In the same way, people are now declaring that the national debate that we've had for a decade or two on gay marriage is closed, and anybody who opposes gay marriage is a bigot and should be written out of polite society, ostracized, and lose their jobs. And I think Andrew Sullivan, who not only is a gay activist, but is the intellectual father of gay marriage, he wrote a book proposing it 15 years ago or so when it was considered weird, and he's argued for the normalization of gay life. That's been his cause. He calls it disgusting. He's absolutely right. This is totalitarian discourse, and it shows a level of intolerance that is absolutely, it should be unacceptable, and people ought to get where they're giving out and to feel a counter boycott.
But George, what about the people who argue this was a business decision? And this was Mozilla saying we operate in a world where that's just not acceptable.
If the company had said that, you could say, well, they have the morals of the marketplace, but at least they have morals. What they said was people have been hurt by this. Now, who was hurt and what was in the nature of the injury? That they learned that someone 6 years ago made a political contribution expressing thereby a political belief. This is how we get speech codes on campuses. People say we came to campus and we don't want our feelings hurt. We don't want to feel threatened by different views. Well, as I say, the company can go into full grovel all it wants, but it should at least say we're trying to make a buck.